Food and Beverage Magazine Live, bringing food and beverage to life. With your hosts, James Beard Award winner Jennifer English and Food and Beverage Magazine publisher Michael Politz. Featuring leaders in the hospitality, branded food and beverage, and CPG industries, many of whom are Jennifer and Michael's friends in the business. For an informal and informative conversation where friends in the business share the latest intel, ideas, and best practices. Live, juicy inside scoop from the tastemakers, newsmakers, bread bakers, drink shakers, spoon lickers, clam diggers, farms, foodies, and friends of the food and beverage magazine world. Here are your hosts, Jennifer English and Michael Politz.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome. I'm Jennifer English, the editor-at-large of Food and Beverage Magazine, and we are especially honored today because we're going to take a trip to one of my favorite places on the planet to talk about one of my new most favorite concepts to help our industry rebound. I don't know if you are like me and feel that we've turned a corner in this moment, and things are not only getting better, but they're getting really swiftly better. There are companies that are doing incredible things in the future of our industry, hospitality, bars and restaurants, and they are manifesting what the future will look like for us all. Joining me today are our good friend Michael Dagan from AirTab, a company that is really doing so much to reconnect and realign the patrons and the customers of our favorite bars and restaurants. And he has brought a special guest who I cannot wait to introduce you to. Michael Dagan, how are you? Are you wearing a Hawaiian shirt today?
I'm actually wearing a shirt that my son gave me. He worked at NASA at Langley in their CIA division, and they had this Hawaiian shirt, and it says NASA, but you can't see it because I embroidered it. But you know where I'm at? I'm at a restaurant and bar right now. I know I shouldn't be day drinking, but I'm out here supporting our industry of what we need to be. And I wanted to show everybody that it's safe to go out, be smart, wear your mask when you go into places, and get out there. But get out and support your restaurants and bars. And that's why I wanted to do the interview from a restaurant and bar to show that we are supporting our industry and not just talking about it.
There are people who haven't heard about AirTab yet. There's a reason why we're having this as a series, because we think and believe that you are a game changer. We've really gotten behind what you're doing because we believe that there is a solution that's a really positive one that also reimagines why we love the hospitality industry and how to continue moving forward to cultivate conviviality. Would you talk a little bit about AirTab and what your company has invented?
Yeah, Jennifer, it's really great you mentioned that. I was just on the phone earlier with the National Restaurant Association, who 100% endorses us, and not only on the national side, but has all 50 state associations pushing AirTab to the restaurateurs to be able to see how AirTab is changing the environment of how marketing and driving customers to AirTab. So AirTab is a behavioral analytical software. Essentially, it's a drinking app for restaurants and bars. And what we want to do is take a Facebook and Instagram and combine it into one, but specific just for restaurants and bars, and be able to drive traffic into those restaurants and bars, have everybody have a good time, support the industry, but at the same time, provide the essential data to the restaurateur, where before it used to cost them thousands of dollars, AirTab provides that to them at no cost to be able to drive traffic back again and have a revolving door of people enjoying the spirits, enjoying the food of what the restaurant and bar can bring.
It's a win-win-win situation for everybody in the transaction and relationship of what makes our hospitality industry exactly what it is.
Yeah, it's not just the restaurateurs. It's depletions for the spirit companies. It's reorders for the food companies, and it's jobs. It's people getting back to work. It's getting the bars busy so the bartenders and the servers can get tips, which is what they survive on for. It's not about putting money in our pockets. It's about putting money in everybody's pockets. And at the same time of getting out and enjoying yourself.
You've brought a very special guest today because you and I understand that in every community around the world, cuisine culture plays an essential role in bringing the essence of that community to life through food and drink. And there's an organization called the Delice Network that unites cities around the world who have a basis in their tourism rooted in food and drink. There are a few places in the world where I think that integration of place, food, drink, and experience, that hospitality, that conviviality come together more than on the beautiful islands of Hawaii.
Yeah.
And you have got a very special guest bringing a little taste of aloha to Food and Beverage Magazine today, for which I can't even say anything other than mahalo. So who's with you today?
Well, it's kind of funny. So I met Senator Glenn on Clubhouse, and he is up early because remember, they're a million hours behind us on the East Coast. And we met on Clubhouse. We started chatting, and I explained to him what AirTab was, and he says, listen, we need to know how to help our restaurants get people back in there, not just the locals, but the tourists. So I said, you know what, Senator? The best person to bring this to life is Jennifer English of Food and Beverage Magazine. Would you join me today? And he got up real early in the morning there to be able to join us today. So I'm very grateful. And once again, I didn't bring a Florida senator because Florida, once again, is an anomaly. We're wide open. The other states need to come on board and get open and be able to drive traffic. So I'm really glad that Senator Glenn is able to join us today.
Well, Senator Glenn Wakai, who's on the Energy, Economic Development, and Tourism Committee in the Hawaiian State Legislature Senate, is with us today. And it is really a profound honor to welcome him to this moment and this platform to bring and invite people back to one of my most favorite places in the whole world. I don't think you've been able to go to Hawaii and not be touched in your soul by its beauty and its magic. Senator Glenn, welcome.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Jennifer, for having me here. And you're absolutely right, Jennifer. I mean, it was about 10 years ago when we created a food and wine festival that talked about that synergy that you spoke of and bringing all sorts of cuisine, not just from Hawaii, but throughout the Pacific here. So Hawaii has become quite a hotbed for cuisine and restaurants and entertainment and bars as well.
Yeah, I have actually been an honor to be a guest of the food and wine events that you produce. I've been a speaker, a broadcaster, a journalist, and friends like Roy Yamaguchi and his beautiful wife and their families, Jonathan Waxman, people who have a long history with the cuisine of that place. I have deep roots with the islands and the food scene as it developed over the years, going to the Big Island for the Dolphin Days Festival and the different food festivals that have brought people from all over the world. So I've been the happy recipient of the education of understanding just how integral food is there and the way that food from all over the world, people from all over the world can come together and make one in a place that's that beautiful. This may be the best place to launch the healing for people from all over the world to come together to this moment with you in Hawaii, to come together in our not only healing, but reigniting of our industry in hospitality. So how important is hospitality to the work that you do in developing the economy and culture of the islands?
Hospitality and tourism is our number one economic engine. It accounts for about 17% of the state's entire gross domestic product. It's the number one driver. By comparison, the number two is military. Military is 11% of Hawaii's GDP. So when we invited and welcomed 10 million visitors to Hawaii in 2019, and then it dropped to 2.7 million last year, you can see the devastation of that. I mean, last April, it was down 99%.
Wow.
It was pretty much evaporated out of Hawaii. So if you can imagine all of the economic benefits that come in, that's we're not an exporter generally here in Hawaii, right? That's our importation, is bringing people here, helping them drop their money into various attractions and food and hotels and lodging, and that's pretty much our one-trick pony in Hawaii. So when everything shattered globally and no one started coming here, then our economy was shattered as well.
Talk a little bit about the steps that your state has taken to not only manage but mitigate the situation.
Well, Alaska was the first state in America that implemented a travel restriction. Hawaii then was a second state. And today, at one point, we had if you were to come here, you and Michael would have to stay 14 days in quarantine.
Wow.
We've obviously evolved into the point where if you get a test 3 days prior to your arrival and come out negative, then you're free to frolic as you wish. But even that, requiring people to take a test prior to their arrival in Hawaii has impacted people's desire to come here. So we've tried to, in Hawaii, we put public health first and foremost, which I think every state should be doing. And now we're slowly trying to figure out, okay, how do we work all the levers so that we can slowly open up our economy? And as of last week, we finally opened up all the restaurants for full dining opportunities with a caveat of 6 feet of distance between tables.
Yeah.
You know,
Michael?
that's a key that Senator Glenn and I were talking about, that now that the state has approved the restaurants and bars to open up, one of the pluses and minuses of AirTab is that AirTab has the traffic to be able to be brought into your location.
Yeah.
If you're at 25 or 35%, we would do more damage than help, because you only have a certain amount of seats, and we're going to drive a lot of people there. They might get turned off or back on. Now that the state of Hawaii is open up, we see next week the state of Texas is 100% going to be opening up. This is where AirTab is at its best. We're able to work with the local restaurants and drive the traffic to them. No cost to the restaurant. Just let's keep that in mind. We're not taking any money out of the restaurant's pockets at all. Drive them to the restaurants to enjoy it, and hopefully go to other AirTab restaurants and enjoy the circle that's out there. Senator Glenn and I are going to be working closely. The one key thing that AirTab is committed to, and I don't know if I shared this with you before, but we're working once again with the National Restaurant Association and the state associations directly. And we're donating 10% of all of our future revenue to the associations to help support the local restaurants and bars and allow them to continue to grow.
That's a really pivotal thing that I think is an enhancement, that if anybody needed additional sort of motivation to want to get engaged in the AirTab program, first of all, it doesn't cost the restaurants any money, which is one of the smartest things you could do. Come on board, be our partner. It doesn't cost you a dime, and here's all the benefits.
Right.
As a customer, it doesn't cost me any money. In fact, not only does it not cost me any money, I actually get 2 free drinks as part of my participation. And then let's go to the restaurants themselves and the way that it all gets integrated into being able to communicate in a dialogue on a data level that doesn't interrupt the flow of the fun, the safe fun now, but the fun of the experience you're creating.
Yeah,
that's the conviviality of the experience. That's what I think somebody like the hoteliers and restaurateurs in Oahu and Maui and Kona. This is a tool people need to say, please come. This is going to be great.
Yeah, the key to it is that anybody can get anybody in a restaurant one time.
Yeah.
It's getting them to come back and a reason to come back. And restaurateurs, once again, because of the damage that was done because of the pandemic, and it's nobody's fault. It's truly nobody's fault. I mean, Senator Glenn just told you they went from 20 million to 2 million.
Yeah.
That's not an anomaly. That's a destruction. Okay, and we got to get them back in. So not only do the restaurateurs not have the money for the marketing or the skill to do it, but what we do is that we do all the marketing for them, no cost, and then we give them a simple skill that they know exactly who's in their restaurant, and they could send them a text message and say, I hope you had a great time. Here's a dessert on me, or here's a drinks on me, or share this with your friends and have them come join you. That is huge for a restaurateur, that he doesn't have to go out and spend that money for that. Yeah. And then bring the people in once again at no cost to them.
Senator, could I ask you to comment on that? Because I see you nodding. You are a student and a professor, both, of the engine of the economics that drive your economy. Can you address just how valid and important what Michael's company is actually proposing for the economic engine of Hawaii?
I mean, I love this idea and concept, and I look at AirTab as kind of a triple play for a restaurateur, right? The restaurant, as he mentioned, gets business driven to them, cost that restaurateur doesn't have to incur. The customer through AirTab gets no tab for their drinks, what's not to like about that scenario? And then thirdly, and I think the most important part is a restaurateur gets data, valuable data. And as Michael mentioned, it's hard to get the person in the door the first time. And it's so much easier if you have a good experience to bring them in the second, third, 15th time in the future. So I just see that there's so many pluses. I can't even see one negative about AirTab.
Senator, would you talk a little bit about how you get on the front seat that you have to what everyone's developing right now? You see what companies all over the world are doing in this space. Is anyone doing anything like this? And what are some of the kinds of things you are seeing companies committing to build these industries back? What are people proposing and what are they actually doing?
There's a lot of talk locally about using technology and data, whether it's helping with contact tracing in restaurants or driving business there. There's never been a concept that I heard of about offering free drinks, which I think is super novel. But the reality in Hawaii so far is that all of these are in concept. Let's talk about it stage. No one's actually been able to roll it out. And certainly no one's been able to sell it to the restaurants to buy in, right? Because this doesn't work if 5 restaurants in Hawaii buy in. You need hundreds, if not thousands of restaurants to make this thing magically drive people into establishments.
How big is the restaurant industry in Hawaii?
As of pre-COVID, as of 2019, we had 3,600 restaurants. Wow. And there was a recent study that if things don't change, we don't get federal monies, half of those restaurants are going to be former restaurants.
Wow.
I mean, that's a lot of devastation to our economy.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question. Sorry to interrupt, Jennifer. Let me ask you a question. When you say 3,600 restaurants, is that restaurants, all the islands, or is that just the big island?
No, that's all islands, from your 5 stars to your lunch trucks.
Yeah. You know, the problem with that, Jennifer, is if we don't rescue those restaurants, if we don't take care of them out there, then what happens is that, let's say it drops down to 1,000 restaurants. It makes it harder on everybody because now here's what happens. You have massive inflation that comes in. Prices are going to rise up. And don't get me wrong, everybody out there understands economics. And if you have less food to use, that means the cost of the food to come over is more expensive and to be able to run in that direction. So it is imperative that, I mean, besides the jobs and the economy, it's imperative because what happens is if that Hawaii is a larger destination and a more expensive destination to go to, they're not going to go to Hawaii. They're going to go someplace else. And obviously they're going to miss out on the beauty that you and I and Glenn lives every day, but they're going to miss out on that, which is of dire importance.
I think even more basic than that, we could just equate it to life in general. It's so much easier to resuscitate someone who's struggling versus bringing them back from the dead. And somehow on a government level, we sometimes do things that kill businesses without the idea of how we can actually keep them before they fall over the cliff.
Can we come back and talk, Senator, to the point you were making about literally half of the restaurants in the state of Hawaii have been closed at the moment? And if something's not done, you were talking about the impact on the economy, but I think it's also really important to ask you to speak to the impact on the culture, the soul, the broader humanity of a place. Hawaii is Hawaii because of the experiences you can have there as a human being. And I really think it's important to remember that when our bars and restaurants close, it diminishes our culture. And I thought, could you speak to that? Because there's no better place to emphasize this point than in a place that is so rich with distinctive culture than the state of Hawaii.
There are certain things that perpetuate culture, language, and I think food is another one. Whether you go to Italy, whether you go to France, wherever you might go, you go there to embrace yourself into their culture, whether it's dancing, music, but food is certainly one of those drivers that compel tourists to have a very positive experience or perhaps not a positive experience. So, I mean, we all travel, we all come back with great pictures, but invariably, whenever people talk about a destination, they talk about how is the food there. And so you're absolutely right. If somehow food disappears off the plate, so to speak, of Hawaii, then there's not much else to sell. Well, we have natural beauty, we have hula, we have surfing and such, but that's such an important key element to a visitor experience is the dining experience.
Is there, I know some states have an official state bird or an official state something. Is there an official state food? Is there an official state drink for the state of Hawaii?
We don't have an official state drink, but the official state food is taro. So some of you might know that we smashed this root into a paste, and that is called poi. But that has been the longtime staple for Hawaiian cuisine here.
Imagine a world where this had to be lost because of things that we could change through our action and through our choices. That's a point that I think is pivotal to make, and I'm so honored that you could be here. I want to give you the chance to have the floor. Is there any message that you'd like to share on behalf of the restaurateur operators and the people of Hawaii to our audience?
Well, those of us in Hawaii are very optimistic that the vaccine is going to change America and the world's habits and confidence in travel. So we're really banking on that to be what brings us back to the Hawaii that everyone loves to come to and wants to visit. So we encourage folks to get the vaccine, feel confident that Hawaii, out of all of the 50 states, has the lowest infection rate in the nation. So our isolation has been helpful in that regard. And as we've spoken throughout this conversation, has been hurtful in terms of the economic opportunities. But I think we're probably, as a global society, ready to finally this summer, we predict, pivot to the new normal. And hopefully that new normal will mean a revitalization of the tourism economy here in the state of Hawaii.
Senator, mahalo with my deep gratitude and thanks for taking time to be with us here today. Michael Dagan, as always, I've got to give you the last word because you are the mastermind in this endeavor, and I am just so glad to be along for the ride.
Well, no, I appreciate it, Jennifer. And Senator Glenn, I'm looking forward to very long friendships we have. All I'm asking everybody is go out, support your local restaurants and bars. I'm not telling you to day drink, but it's important to get out there, and please write to your states. If your states are shut down for any reason, write to your states, write to your senators, get some kind of a variance of what you need to do. But get out there and support your restaurant and bar. Of course, download AirTab to be able to help you support your restaurants and bar. But it's really about a bigger global picture, what we have to hear, because we have to help each other. And no offense to government, we can't always depend upon government. So we have to be able to do that. And that to have a senator here to be able to say, hey, listen, we realize we need your help to get out there and do it.
Senator, is there a phrase, an expression, or a concept in Hawaiian that is the essence of we're all in this together?
The term is called malama, and that's exactly it. I mean, we use the metaphor of all in the canoe, and we're all paddling in the same direction.
Love that.
That's what we want to do. It's drive towards a better Hawaii.
All together.
Yes.
And the word is malama.
The word is malama.
Malama. There you go, Jennifer. You have a new word, and hopefully Michael will learn that word as well.
And my next trip to Makapulu Point cannot come soon enough as far as I'm concerned.
We look forward to welcoming you, Jennifer.
And Senator, I want to say, I do believe that we met at one of your food and wine festivals on Maui or on the island of Oahu. So I want to thank you. I know you meet a million people, but I want to tell you that I'm so grateful to be included in those events.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Michael.
My pleasure, Senator.
Aloha.
Thank you very much.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Whether you are thinking about becoming a restaurateur or you are already in the business, Michael Politz has written a must-read, The Food and Beverage Magazine's Guide to Restaurant Success. Pick up your copy today at Barnes & Noble, Amazon, Books A Million, or wherever fine books are sold.
Need a push getting your spirits, wine, or beverage brand into the hands of consumers? Interested in winning medals like a Double Gold Award? Proof Awards 2020, the ultimate beverage competition, can help jumpstart your brand into the hands of beverage buyers. Enter the Proof Awards. Be a part of the Proof Awards marketing campaign with our partner, Food and Beverage Magazine. All of our judges are buyers, and that's what sets our awards program apart from the others. Our judges head the beverage programs for restaurants, bars, nightclubs, casinos, liquor stores, big box retail, and national wine and spirits distributors. Your brand will be tasted by buyers from more than 15 states across the U.S. We have hundreds of categories to choose from at www.proofawards.com. Be seen by 12 million readers with our partner, Food and Beverage Magazine. Get tasted and rated by buyers. The 2020 Proof Awards competition is open for spirits, wine, and beverage brands today. Proof Awards 2020, moving brands into the marketplace. www.proofawards.com.